we have an agenda to open meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, draft meeting's going way back to September, if you can remember that far. Anybody have any additions, corrections?
I had
Anything, motion to approve September meeting minutes?
none. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, down to the main order of business here. 17 Providence Road. Looking for a variance to allow the front yard setback. And who is 17? Okay, come up here to the chair, tell us your name.
Good evening, my name is Mandy Hicks. I am representing the homeowners of 17 Providence Lane. I'm sorry, 17 Providence Road. And I will read my narrative and then answer some questions. We are proposing, the applicant is requesting relief from the front yard setback. The required setback in an RA zone is 50 feet from the lot line. The applicant is seeking 10 feet of relief. The proposed garage will be located at an angle on the left side of the existing driveway at the most feasible location. Hardships present as the lot shape begins narrow and limits placement in that area. The steep topography, existing gas line and chimney prevent the garage from being attached to the existing home. There is also several large boulders in the back that would cause more intense site work. We did get a few letters of support from surrounding neighbors, and there also was a letter included from the building commissioner, Eric Tardif, in support of the variance.
Okay, I have a question for staff. Is 50 feet as the crow flies, or is it when they go down over the hill and measure?
No, it's horizontally, so it doesn't matter the elevation change, it's 50
Okay.
foot. That's all.
Because I'm sure they would have 50 feet if they went down the hill and. What?
That's not the bylaw, that's not how the setback is
Right,
measured.
okay. Okay, so I want to introduce a letter from 15 Providence Road, something Lane, in support of this article. And as the applicant said, Eric Carter wrote a letter. Also, it's 21. Oh, 23 Providence Road also wrote a letter. Yep. In support of. Okay. We've also submitted all kinds of pictures of houses in the neighborhood. That probably will be a similar configuration. And does that give you enough room at the top of the hill to get in the garage?
Yes, the way that they had placed it gives them enough room to turn into the garage.
Okay. And once again, I'll defer to staff. How far away from the well does the structure have to be?
10 feet.
So we got it by 2.
Correct.
Okay. Everything else is in order. Does anyone else have any questions?
Are any of these trees at the bottom of the hill gonna be removed?
To my knowledge, no.
So those will all remain sort of a screening to this new garage from the road?
Yes, I believe so. I can confirm with the homeowners, but we don't have any tree removal on our contract.
So the house on On the right side, the garage is gonna be blocked from that neighbor by the house. And then how close is the house on the left side? There's a picture of that.
Yeah, that's a good, that's a good ways away.
So if you look at the GIS map, it might give you an
Yeah,
indication.
that's way over here.
That's what I was looking for. Nobody in the back had comment?
I just had a question. I'm just interested, just for my own, why an attached garage? It's, most people come in and do an attached garage, so I'm just interested why you went with a detached.
They went with the detached because there's a chimney, on that side that they'd have to take off. Also, like in Mr. Cardiff's letter, he did mention the topography on the driveway to the house. And then there's that well line back there, so I'm not sure if that 24 feet, it would abut more closer to the well.
And so are you going to use the existing driveway to access that garage, or are you going to come off of Providence Road in another location?
I believe he is planning on using the existing driveway.
Okay.
Septic's way down by the street.
Correct.
It's a huge lot, and they crammed it all in the front. Anybody else have any questions? Concerns?
No, Scott made a good point with the tree staying there for the screening from the road. That was my only thing.
Do you want to condition it?
Yeah.
And it shows on the plan as a single, it's not two floors, right? It's just-
Correct. Yep.
Is there storage on the?
Nope. It's just a standard
garage?
single-story garage. Yep.
I think they're using roof trusses.
What's that?
They're using roof trusses, so that.
Yeah, that's why I
Okay, is there anybody in the audience to speak either in favor of this petition or against this petition? Seeing none. Are we prepared to take a vote?
Yep.
So,
All those in public hearing?
well, before we do that, Dave, I have a question as to what a condition to leave some trees there. How do we want to figure out how much gets left and how much can be taken out? Is that a staff decision?
So staff could carry out the board's direction, and if it's unclear, we can bring it back to the board. So it sounds like the board would like existing trees within, I don't know, is it within 20 feet of the front lot line
I was gonna say 20 feet off the road.
Yep.
to remain?
Yep.
And if they intend to cut, come back, and we can either, see how that might affect screening. If it appears like it can make a significant difference, you could have a condition just return to the board at a public meeting, and get your further opinion. But it sounds like you're not planning to
Correct.
remove trees.
Yeah. And I
So
can
the only
confirm that.
Thing is, if you require the condition of approval, I mean, obviously, if there's, damage to the tree or they die, I would expect, like, what do you want to happen in that case? Is it just natural fine, or do you want some replacement, within a certain time period?
In my opinion, the 20-foot mark is a good mark, and if a tree dies, I don't expect anybody to replace it. What's everybody else think?
I agree.
Yeah, I think the trees by the road are far enough away from the construction.
Mhm.
You may get one tree that dies because the roots get dug up during the excavation of the foundation. I think there's plenty of coverage closer to the road. But if there's gonna be cutting, they should probably come back in front of the public hearing.
Public hearing or public meeting?
Public meeting, excuse me.
Okay.
So
You can say that, existing trees within 20 feet of the front lot line to remain in place. If they plan to cut, they need to come in and see if it needs to go back to the board. Otherwise, if it dies naturally, then, you're feel free to remove it, right? Which is normal.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion to close the public hearing. We have the one order of conditions as it is. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so, we need a motion to approve a variance to allow for a 40-foot front setback. Actually, I'm going to 38. Just in case.
Couldn't hurt.
So let's go with a 38-foot front setback where 50 feet is required. And that gives you a little bit of room in case the foundation guy gets crazy on you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay? Jeff,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
and I will also vote in the affirmative.
Thank you.
That's with the one special condition talked about tonight and the standard conditions.
Yes, yep. So staff has 14 days to write the decision. There's a 21-day appeal period. Not that you can do anything in the next 21 days from the looks of it. So, good luck.
Thank you very much, guys, I appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. The next order of business is interviewing candidates for the open alternate seat that exists. I'm assuming you're here for that?
Yes, I'm here for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come up here and,
Okay.
come up here and tell us your name,
Sure, yeah.
because I'll never pronounce it.
Yeah, well, that's not actually my phone. It's-
There are several forms in
Yeah.
the
Oh.
board's packet.
Yeah.
So we have a couple individuals from the candidates that have submitted VAS for conversation tonight. I will point out the first one listed on here, Elizabeth Garber, she has withdrawn her interest because she's unexpectedly moving out of town. So we have two candidates before you tonight, Catherine Arnold,
Yes.
as well as Meredith Cathallo.
So we have
So
the
yeah,
woman
I'm
here.
Catherine Arnold. Can you?
Okay. Can we, first of all, the procedure is gonna be this.
Mhm.
You're first in the batter's box. The next candidate, we'd like to ask to wait in the hall, so they do not have the advantage of listening to your answers. So, Mr. Cataldo, if you could go to the hall, that would be awesome. And then when you're done,
Yeah.
you're out.
You would be welcome to return.
Right.
After the
Oh,
second
sure.
interview to
Okay.
Oh, interesting. So, sorry, this is just, because where I work is blocked out for,
We just
Privacy.
redacted for.
okay,
Yeah, it's redacted for a reason.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Catherine, thank you for your interest in the planning board. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to join the zoning board of appeals?
Yeah, sure. So, I work at a water quality commission, and essentially, I'm like an administrative assistant, but I handle the, like, certification of septic tank professionals and wastewater operators in the state. So I'm kind of like quasi-related to a lot of the Massachusetts, like, Code of Environmental Regulations that have to be at play in making those decisions.
Mhm.
And essentially just, yeah, I've been interested in the interface between the environment and people, and I'm pursuing my master's in public administration through my work. And I've been wanting to get involved in like local government, and it was actually the reason why now out of any time I've been interested in getting involved is because I took an ethics course through my program, and we talked about the conflict of interest law, and essentially just I think it's important, especially at the local level, to have those ethics in mind, and combined with just my professional interest, I was like, oh, this would be useful. And it was actually my professor who worked and volunteered for her own zoning board of appeals, and I think it was Peabody. So I was like, that's kind of where it came to mind. But I was like, oh, this actually kind of relates to a little bit of what I'm related to at work. So, yeah.
Great. So the next question, and you don't know the answer, just say so. It says, what can you tell us about the Zoning Act?
Oh, I don't know anything about the Zoning Act.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Have you ever attended any of our meetings or watched them on cable TV?
I haven't watched the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I've came to watch the planning committee and the recreation. I came in the public and just kind of sat in.
Do you have any practical experience reading plot plans, building elevation plans, and building floor plans?
No.
Okay. So the next question is kind of an important one to us. We'd like to know how you would try and balance the rights of interested applicants with that of abutting property owners.
I mean, I think essentially, as far as, I kind of want to know more about what you mean with that question. Like, is it simply that they each have their own personal
So in the
interests?
last article was just in front of us, you heard us
Yeah.
say, how close are the people up back
Oh.
into the street, and what can we do to mitigate the impact on them? Now, they weren't here to complain or be approved or anything else,
Yeah.
but we look at it and say, okay, how much impact is it gonna have on the property owners around?
Yeah. No, I mean, even just like the screening and like a lot of these terms that you guys are using, I mean, I think that's the whole point of the board, to think of the consideration of the property owners. I mean, it's collectively as a whole, the town, but it's like thinking, oh, okay, it's these people that have this contract to work on this property, but it's also you guys advocating for the people that are directly, interfacing with that property. So despite even the letters of those specific people that said that they were okay with it, you still have to think further and think about the people that didn't necessarily vocalize their thoughts on the project.
So from time to time, there are training courses available and information sessions with the planning staff and town council. Would you be able to attend those?
Yes, yeah.
And they're not frequent, I'll tell you that. So now, we're getting right into what the ZBA is all about. Can you tell us some differences between the variance and a special permit?
No, I think I'd say just from what I know, I'd say a special permit requires something more novel and new outside of a variance is maybe, for example, with the 50-foot buffer between, the 50-foot buffer between the front of a property and then the street. It's the variance is to that level. It's hey, we're still having a buffer, but it's just going to be a different length, whereas I'd expect maybe a special permit to be kind of a sort of novel variance, novel rule itself. But yeah, obviously that's very broad, so I don't necessarily know, but that's just my.
That's fine. Are you aware of the criterion that we use to grant the variance?
I think, I don't necessarily know, I'd assume, I don't know, you were talking about the proximity to the gas line, looking at where the well is and the septic tank. And I know you mentioned the specific amount of feet that the property needs to be away from the septic, but I actually forget it myself. But it's more like just generally looking at those markers, but I don't necessarily know, oh, hey, it's this criteria. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's the same question. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask you if you know what a comprehensive permit is, and we refer to them as 40B.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So, is there anything else that you would like to share with this board?
No, I mean, yeah, obviously I come young, like, not necessarily as informed, but I'm willing completely to learn. But, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So
Okay.
I appreciate the opportunity to just talk about myself and have you guys listen and hear from you guys.
Is there anybody on the board that would have a question outside of what we've asked? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay. You can leave, whatever you'd like to do.
I think I'll stay,
Okay?
but I'll obviously go outside, yeah.
How you doing?
Good, Michael. Yep, sit right there.
Before we start, I should just say that Mike was lucky enough to marry my daughter, so I'm somewhat related to Mike. That's it.
Sorry, Mike.
He's the lucky one.
Okay, so give us a little synopsis of yourself and why you want to join the Zoning Board of Appeals.
All right. My name's Mike Cataldo. I live at 13 Pine Tree Trail. I've lived in Westford for about 13 years now, and think it's a great town. So I have a entrepreneurship and small business management degree from Quinnipiac University. I have a commercial real estate certificate from Boston University, and I have previously served when I lived in the town of Littleton on the permanent municipal building committee. Currently, I'm a general contractor. I own my own business with my father, and we kind of specialize in site development, site utility work. We do building as well, and also commercial landscaping. So I think the biggest reason I want to kind of be part of the Zoning Board of Appeals is I want to give back to the town of Westford. I think, as I mentioned, Westford is a great town, and I think it's important that, you know, as a resident of the town, you get involved and you participate. And I think with my job knowledge, this is a perfect fit for me. I also think the town of Westford has done a really good job over the years protecting their zoning, so I think I'd want to be part of protecting the integrity of the town zoning bylaw.
We got some people who would disagree with you, but keep that thought in mind. So, do you know anything about the Zoning Act in Westford?
So the zoning act, so I believe the zoning act with the state is chapter 40A, which what that does is it promotes it empowers the town to regulate their zoning into different use groups. So the land use would go into different districts. Specifically in Westford, Westford has a zoning bylaw, and the state, I believe, empowered the towns to do that. And it gives procedures also to issue variances and special permits.
Have you had an opportunity to watch any of the meetings on cable TV?
Yeah, I think this is actually my first zoning board meeting that I've attended, but I have watched different meetings over the years. I do kind of find it interesting, you know, sit home and watch this meeting, but it is of interest to me with my job knowledge and so forth. My company has presented to your boards as well before, or to your board before, so I obviously paid attention to those meetings, but was unable to attend.
So the next question is kind of already been asked and answered, but do you have any practical experience reading plot plans, building elevations, and building floor plans?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as a general contractor, I'm looking at multiple plans daily. It's kind of what I do. So I'm pretty familiar with, you know, building elevations on our building projects, site topography, elevations. That's what I kind of do all day long.
Okay. And how would you try and balance the rights of interested applicants with that of abutting property owners?
Well, I noticed tonight, you know, you had some feedback from budding property owners, and I imagine that's pretty important to your board. I think it's always important to make sure if you're deviating from the town zoning bylaw, you're essentially asking for some form of change, and you need to make sure that that doesn't greatly impact the neighbors or the neighborhood or the town as a whole. So I think it's important to listen to neighbors, you know, listen to concerns, and to be able to be reasonable and make the right decision based on feedback from the town stakeholders.
Would you be willing to take training courses and participate in information sessions with the planning staff and the town council?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, I find those sessions kind of interesting. You know, recently, last week, I attended the, I don't know if Jeff hosted it or not, but I would call it a panel discussion on ADUs. I think that that's probably going to be a big thing if it's not already to your board. So I found that very interesting. A couple of years ago, too, I also attended the MBTA zoning discussions that the town hosted. Again, probably a pretty major zoning issue to the town. And yeah, I find that stuff interesting, so I'm always willing to go to that.
Okay. So can you tell us the difference between a variance and a special permit?
Try my best.
Yes.
So a variance is when you're basically asking to deviate from the local zoning bylaw. And I believe a variance is passed on from owner to owner. So I think you had a variance hearing just before I came up here in regards to, I think, setbacks. So with that, you know, once that variance is granted, that kind of goes on in perpetuity to the next owners. Special permit is, I believe people apply for special permits when you're trying to get a use that's not allowed within a certain district. And that is something where you want to make sure that the use still kind of fits within the neighborhood, even though it may not be necessarily allowed within the specific district that land use is classified in as. And also, special permits may or may not be able to be transferred on to the next owner or next user. I think, you know, specifically if a business has a special permit issued to them and it changes ownership, I think there doesn't necessarily transfer on to the next owner of that business. Could be wrong on that, but yeah, that's kind of my general understanding of.
Okay, well, that's fine. And then comprehensive permit, which is a 40B. What can you tell us about that?
So that's one of the items that comes across this board, and essentially that has to do with affordable housing, right? So 40B specifically, those projects would, I think, generally result in about 25% affordable housing.
Okay. And lastly, is there anything else you want to share with the board regarding experience or
No, I mean, I think this, board is of interest to me because it's kind of what I do. And, as I said before, I do really like the town of Westford, and I think it's important that we respect our bylaws. And, it's just really of great interest to me to see the town continue to be successful in their zoning. Because I think zoning ultimately impacts kind of all stakeholders of the town. So, on a micro level, it impacts your own personal property and your house and your lot. But on a macro level, I mean, it impacts kids that may not own a home or own any real estate in town, but they're still impacted, with the roadways and the different projects that are approved, open space. So, I think zoning is really important to public health, public safety, and, it's of interest to me.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Just for the sake of consistency, did you ask question 8 of this candidate?
Maybe I didn't.
Maybe you did, and I'm,
Are you familiar with the criterion for granting a variance?
So, yes, so for granting a variance, I believe there's 3 items that you need to pay attention to. I believe that the applicant needs to kind of show that there is some sort of issue with soil condition, topography, or shape of a lot. I believe they need to prove a hardship with what they're trying to do, whether it be financial or otherwise. And I think the other thing is they need to make sure that it's not a detriment to the neighborhood or the town as a whole, or a neighbor, specifically a neighbor.
Okay, great. Does the board have any other questions that they'd like to ask?
So I just have a general question. What is your attitude on 40Bs in terms of how should this board or the town balance the need for affordable housing and the, if you will, the excessive development on a piece of land?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because under one way, in one hand, the state empowers the town to enact a zoning bylaw, but then there's other things that the state puts in, like in the ADU discussion that we had. I learned a lot about how there's protected ADUs now that are done by the state, and then there's local. So I think 40Bs, I haven't been involved with them as much as I was, 15 years ago. I mean, I think the general concept is great, right? We all know what's happening here with housing prices and so forth. But there are different implications. And I know as housing costs have driven up and material costs have driven up, as a builder, I understand it's harder and harder to create that 25% affordable and still make a project work. I think affordable housing is important to any town, whether that's on a senior level or a first-time home buyer. So I think it is important, but I think your board probably needs to really pay attention and understand what that impact has on the town as a whole. If it's a very dense development and it's going to create traffic, or really impact a neighborhood that it might be, so to speak, plopped into. I think it's important to understand what those conditions do to the town and the neighbors. Did that answer it? I kind of rambled. I'm sorry.
Well, no, but you hit the essence of it.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
And, there's the positives are it provides some quote-unquote affordable housing for people that can't afford to get into a standard situation. On the other hand, you've got to take into consideration the abutters primarily, but the town in general, so you don't overdo it. I mean, I think we've had, probably 10 40Bs in the last probably 10 to 15 years. And those are really some of the issues the board deals with. And I think an attempt to be even-handed,
Yeah.
to hear both sides, but to try to come up with a plan or a compromise that works for everybody.
Yeah. You know, I know in the early 2000s, the towns were getting hit hard with those because the state, I don't know all these specifics, but the state had to reach, or excuse me, towns had to reach certain thresholds for
10%.
Yeah, yeah, and some towns really didn't have that, so a lot of those 40Bs, it was hard to fight them. But I think the biggest thing is to, hopefully there's a good developer coming forward and would listen to kind of what the board has to speak and take in considerations and make the project a win-win for both parties.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, seeing none. Sit tight, we'll probably make an announcement later. So Joe, are there candidates for next month's meeting?
We're still looking to schedule with the remaining two that were in your packet. We did receive an additional VAF yesterday, so we have to reach out to that candidate and see if they're available for the February meeting. So otherwise, we're still trying to contact the other two that were in your packet. I'll just review them quickly. Zachary Spera, as well as Mike Ely over on Dempsey Way.
Okay. So to the both candidates who are here tonight, unfortunately, this procedure is going to be drawn out a little bit. So next month, if the remaining people come in, we interview them just like we did you. So that's February. So in March, I think we'll deliberate as a board and decide who we would like to recommend to the selectmen. And it's essentially the selectmen who say, yes, we agree. Okay? All right. You guys are all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Anything from staff?
Did you want to do that public
Sure,
service
let's
announcement?
just do a quick, I guess, service announcement. So we have two upcoming public workshops, just hoping to get the word out. One is for our ongoing pedestrian plan in and around our MBTA Communities Overlay District. It'll be this Saturday over in Neshoba Valley Technical High School. So it is scheduled from 10 to 3. You can attend the morning session or the afternoon session, or be there for both if you'd like. There'll be a lunch break in there. So again, that's at Neshoba Valley Technical High School this Saturday, 10 to 3. And then we have on the 27th a workshop for the Route 40 corridor study that's ongoing. That'll be at the Senior Center from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Again on January 27th, so that's a Tuesday evening.
So the first one is essentially sidewalks down 110.
It's a little bit more than that, but it could involve pedestrian improvements in terms of sidewalks, trail connectivity to and through the district. It could be two existing trail systems that we have in and around the area, including the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail. We're working on that. It's kind of coined the Neshoba Greenway project. So those are all things that have come out thus far from the study. So we'll be reviewing a whole bunch of information with people during the workshop and get them to participate and get their opinion on some concepts for how to improve connectivity in and around the area, Littleton Road and Powers Road.
And so as my predecessor would sit here and say, who's paying for it?
So we received a Catalyst Fund grant through the state, an MBT Catalyst Fund grant.
And is that going to pay for like 50 feet, or is that gonna pay for everything?
That is for the plan, so,
For the plan?
yes.
Oh. Now,
You- you looked at
Right, so the goal is to have a meaningful plan in place so that as these projects come forward, they can be asked or conditioned to try to do their part that's near them to get some of that built and developed.
That's what we wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Anybody else have anything?
So, the I've forgotten Route 40 corridor, what's that?
So if you folks should remember, there was a lot of strife along Groton Road. In fact, there were 2 citizens petitions within 2 years to rezone an IA parcel to RA, and then another one to rezone RA to IA. So there were petitions to rezone it. They didn't really go forward. They kind of both got withdrawn, but it ended up in a resolution at town meeting to study the corridor. So we applied for grants to do the study, didn't get it. We kept applying, we got it. So now we're doing the study. We have some wonderful expertise here on your board helping out in that.
Yes, it's been an experience.
So, so we're going forward with that, and that process has to completely wrap up by June.
Both of them have
Both of
to be
them.
wrapped up by the end of June.
So we got stuff going on.
Yeah?
So just roughly, how many open development possibilities are there on the Westford piece of 40?
Along Route 40? Well, so it depends. If you consider just vacant land, there are lots of limitations. But redevelopment is always a possibility. And then it really depends on if you do zoning changes. So at the result of this study, there may be some recommendations based on the public input. And we don't want to give too much away because we don't want to, that could result in some recommended zoning changes. And that could in turn have some impact on what could or couldn't be done. But everything would have to go to town meeting, so nothing will be a surprise. And you folks will be part of that because you know we'd be asking for your input and recommendations and suggestions as we go through that process. So you won't escape it.
Definitely could use a pharmacy down there, that's for sure. What's that?
What'd you say?
It's a pharmacy at Route 40.
Oh.
That would be
He's not the first one to suggest that, actually.
Look at you.
So on the sidewalk one, you said there's 2 sessions? How long is each session?
So I believe the morning session will be 10 to noon, and then a lunch break for an hour, and then 1 to 3 for the afternoon session. So you can send one.
Will it be the same at both?
No.
No.
No? Okay.
Who's presenting at that one on Saturday?
Dodson and Flinker is our consultant working on that.
Does anybody else have anything? All right, can we have a motion to close the meeting?
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.